Hello everyone, welcome to the session. Today I'm going to cover the basics of Agile and Scrum. So to go ahead with this session will be primarily focused on Scrum fundamentals, how Scrum works, and what are the key artifacts and what are the key things in Scrum. And a way towards it is the Agile. So I'll just briefly cover Agile and cover more in depth on the Scrum basics. Okay, so start with, so this is our agenda where we discuss about Agile, what is the difference between Agile and Scrum, and then what is the basic definition of Scrum definition, how does a Scrum work, what Scrum is theoretically, what are the Scrum values, what does the Scrum team means, Scrum events and Scrum artifacts. So beginning with Agile. So Agile is basically a concept of doing things swift, in quick, and basically it works on the fail fast kind of fundamentals. So basically what Agile is based out of an Agile manifesto. So Agile manifesto is prepared by a certain group of individuals who came forward to bring a change in the project methodologies that they were in progress at that point of time. So what Agile methodology says is, what does the Agile manifesto says? It focuses on the individuals and interactions over the process and tools. That means, so in any project, the number of the individuals working on the project and the interaction between them is given more weightage over following process and tools. So you can use any tool, you can use a whiteboard, but what matters most is what interactions are there between the individuals. It is matter the most. And working software over the comprehensive documentation. So again, the Agile focuses on delivering the working software. Agile, it doesn't mean that you don't have to do the documentation. You obviously have to do the documentation, but what important is the working software. You show a working demo of the software to the business in faster time, and when your business is testing the solution, you can work on your documentation. But it's not like you don't have to do documentation, but yes, documentation is required, but the preference is towards working software. Then customer collaboration over contract negotiation. So contract negotiation is like the thing of past. You decide a contract, you fix a contract based on some assumptions. You don't know that whatever you have assumed are going to be true or false. So based on that, the the earlier methodology like waterfall projects used to work with. Agile is more of a customer collaboration. Like you collaborate with your customer, understand your customers' needs, understand your customers' needs that change or that will be changing because of the business or the environmental factors or any factor working towards it. So you understand the change and you collaborate with your customer and you deliver what your customer need or your customer wants. So that is Agile. And responding to change over following a plan means in waterfall or the older methodology, you have a plan. You make a plan with certain assumptions. You don't know whether the assumptions are going to be true or assumptions are going to be false. And based on that, you're rigid. So in that case, the chances of failure is and is more, and the chances of losing your investment is more. But in case of Agile, you respond to change quickly. So if you see that something is not working out, you change your plan or you change your direction to go into the right direction. And this saves a lot of cost. Like you understand your change and you change your methods. So you save a lot of cost that would have been wasted otherwise if you followed a certain plan and that plan did not work. So the risk mitigation is pretty fast in Agile. So coming to the difference between Agile and Scrum, you would have heard about Agile and Scrum in your daily work. So Agile is basically a methodology. It's kind of a mindset But Scrum is a framework. Agile is a methodology. It says that you have to do this fast, you have to do this iterative. Scrum is how you do it fast and how you do it iterative. So Scrum is a process, it's a time bound, time boxed event. Scrum is a framework, while Agile is a methodology. Okay, so another thing what matters in Scrum and Agile is the empiricism. So empiricism is based on three pillars. We call it as three pillars of empiricism. One is the transparency, the other is the adaptation and the inspection. Or you can say it adaptation, inspection, and transparency. So basically, it's like you when you work on an agile project, you are transparent to your stakeholders and say whatever is going on in the project in a very transparent manner, so that stakeholders are having enough time or enough resources to take a decision on how do we change it. It's not like you come on the last minute and say that no, this cannot be deployed. That's not agile. That's more of a waterfall. Okay, and then adaptation. So if adaptation, like you have a mindset that it's okay to change the direction. It's not like, oh, I have fixed this way. I will go only on this direction to achieve my project. You can change. It's okay to change. That's a mentality that's required. And inspection. So you regularly inspect your work, like every week you do something, you inspect whether you have done the work correctly or what is your progress. But it is not micromanagement, it is rather like inspecting what you have done and to see whether it aligns your project goal or not. Then, okay, so from here, we'll be focusing on Scrum. Scrum has different values. So the Scrum values, like say for even if you're in your individual life, you will have your values. You will never ever compromise or on your values. So these are Scrum values. If you're in a Scrum project, you should never compromise on this. On a courage, focus, commitment, respect, and openness. So yeah, this is applicable for all the Scrum team members. I will come to the Scrum team members in the coming slides, but this is what about the values. So how does the Scrum framework work? Theoretically, this is how a Scrum framework works. You have a product backlog. From the product backlog, you take your items and do a sprint planning. And when you do a sprint planning, the output of that is a sprint backlog. So let's take an example. You have to build a website. That website is the e-commerce website. So your e-commerce website, customer, your vendor, your catalog, card, pricing, card application like MasterCard, Visa, that becomes your product backlog given by your customer. Sprint backlog, okay, so you take a sprint, say sprint one, and in that sprint you decide to build the interface of shopping cart, so that shopping cart is created by your vendor, and your customer can select from that cart. So you build that. So in that shopping cart, whatever are the technical items like your creation of your website, creating the UI, the graphics interface, it all becomes your sprint backlog. And sprint backlogs is passed on to the Scrum team. Scrum team works on that sprint backlog and monitors that in a daily basis on a daily with the daily Scrum meeting. So daily Scrum meeting is nothing like nothing but you have to do what you have to say what you have done a previous day. You have to say what you'll be doing on the current day. So that's it. And when you deliver that particular sprint, it becomes an increment. An increment is discussed with the product owner in the sprint review. And yeah, if it is done, it is passed on as a release. If it is not done, it is passed on back to the product backlog. And from there, again, it is picked to the sprint. So done, I'll come to that later definition of done. There is a separate slide on that. Sprint retrospective. Okay, sprint retrospective is conducted at the end of the sprint. It is for analyzing what went right, what went wrong, and how do we improve it. So, yeah, this is what I have covered. Scrum framework. It is a iterative, incremental approach to what's a project. It has 4 formal events. Like these events are like covered here: sprint planning, daily scrum, sprint review, and retrospective are the events. And yeah, it has 3 artifacts and 5 events. Okay. So yeah, so Scrum artifacts. So what are the Scrum artifacts? So basically artifacts are the objective materialistic things in a Scrum. One of that is the product backlog. So product backlog is owned by product owner. Product owner, again, these are roles. I'll come to that in the coming slides. So product owner maintains and controls the product backlog, and they are responsible to refine the product backlog. So another Scrum artifact is the sprint backlog. The sprint backlog is the sub set of a product backlog. So there are certain items that are passed on to the sprint backlog from the product backlog. Sprint backlog is specifically for a particular sprint. It is basically a kind of a guide for this Scrum team to work on the requirements. Another Scrum artifact is increment. So increment is it is the work that is complete from a particular sprint. Uh, okay, the one important condition for this is it has to meet the definition of done. So basically, definition of done is a classification, a formal classification that okay, this particular work done meets the acceptance criteria from the product owner. So when we say acceptance criteria, it is both quantitatively and qualitatively. For example, if I say that I need to get a website developed with customer able to order from the shopping cart and my vendor should be able to invoice. I don't care about the payment option as I can use cash on delivery right now. So my key requirements are customer should be able to order, customer should be able to order. The vendor should be able to update the shopping cart, and yeah, so that's my requirement. I don't care whether the customer is able to log in, or I don't care whether the customer is able to use their digital payment methods, because I have cash on delivery as my current payment system, which can work. So my definition of done is this: in case if the team delivers an exhaustive website with payment capabilities and all, but if the customer is not able to order, that doesn't mean that means the definition of done is not met. I'm not uh, I'm not going to do anything without customer, because that will hit my revenues. So this is basically definition of done. And developers are required to conform to DoD in case of this Scrum. It is developers' responsibility to conform um, conform on the DoD. So again, Scrum events. Let's come to the Scrum events. So Scrum events are like sprint. Yeah, sprint is usually 1 month or less. Sprint is a time boxed event, and sprint has a product goal. Sprint events are like sprint planning, daily Scrum, sprint review, and retrospective. This happens within the sprint. And okay, so the product backlog is refined as needed. Scope can be renegotiated with product owner. Like if in the sprint, suppose say, take an example. If you take a sprint and you say that you need to develop the website, but you don't have the database, the storage servers ready. So you cannot develop a website unless your infrastructure is ready. So infrastructure becomes a key a problem in this case. So you negotiate with your product owner and say, okay, infrastructure needs to be there before I start my work. And then, okay, you take back the work to the product backlog and you renegotiate your sprint. So that way it can be done. Coming to Scrum events, again, sprint planning. So you plan for the sprint, prepare, keeping in mind your product goal, you prepare a sprint goal. Okay, product goal is a complete website, but in this sprint, I am going to deliver website with ordering capabilities. Okay, so in this case, you prioritize product backlog items along with your product owner and create a sprint backlog. And then you have a sprint. Yeah, sprint planning is again time boxed. You can have a maximum of 8 hours event for a 1 month of sprint. For even shorter sprint, it can be even shorter. And you have Scrum events, daily Scrum. So daily Scrum is a 15-minute meeting of what I have done yesterday, what I am going to do today. It is not a status meeting, or it is even not a meeting to discuss your impediments, your problems that are hampering your development. It is not to discuss the issues or solution. It is just a meeting to update that what is going on, but it's not a status meeting. So in Scrum meeting, you have to say what I have done yesterday, what I have to do today, what I am working on today, basically, and that's it. Okay, and you keep, and the Scrum Master keep a track of the sprint backlog, whatever items are completed, they mark it as definition of done, the done status. So basically, this helps in improving the communication between the team. And usually it's a Scrum Master's responsibility to have the meetings regularly within the time boxed intervals. And Scrum events, yeah, sprint review. So once you have a sprint, you do a review, what went wrong. Basically, this is like what happened in the sprint, what is the current status of the development, what is done, what is not done, why it has been not done. If it is done, then yeah, move to release status. If it is not done, then move the item back to the product backlog. That's what it does. Again, sprint retrospective. So this is for what what worked well, what went wrong, how it can be improved, uh, what we will do. Basically, commit to rectify our mistakes in the next sprint. So this is what it is. So in retrospective, you take the sprint, analyze why it went wrong, and you take feedbacks and convert those feedbacks into feed forwards for your next sprint, so that in your next sprint you bounce back with good changes that can work well for the team. Now coming to the team, Scrum team is usually a very small and nimble team. Scrum team is cross-functional. It is like a mix of developer, tester, coder, release manager, all. And it consists of Scrum Master and Product Owner. Okay. Scrum Master is not a manager. Scrum Master is not a team leader. Scrum Master is a facilitator. The role of Scrum Master is to remove impediments. The role of Scrum Master is not to micromanage the resources. It's just to help the people remove the impediments. And product owner are the people who basically are kind of business analyst, who are a bridge between the business users and the development team. So team should be small enough and should be able to create a valuable, useful increment in the every sprint. So the last part of it is discussing the timelines. So usually an agile project timeline is like one step at a time. You see from here that, okay, this one step, after this, the next step, the third, fourth, fifth, like that. You also have certain paths like the top green one, which is like a critical path. Okay, in that critical path, you have say four different paths can be done, but and there is a dependent thing actually. Once you complete the first, then only they can move to the second and the third. Say development, testing, user acceptance testing, like that. But in case of agile, you can see that you can take this is kind of a product backlog, and for the product backlog, you have like sprint one, sprint two, sprint three. What is there in sprint one? What is done? What is not done? So what is not done is moving back to product backlog. So that way. So that's all I have to cover for now. So thank you, thank you for your time.